Welcome to the Painting Sloth. This is the continuation of my new Stormbringer magazine series. Each episode features some of the models sent as a part of the subscription. I'm going to start off by painting the skin using Gut Rip of Flesh contrast paint. The reason I'm starting with this color here is because it's a bit lighter, so if I get it on any of the other parts, the darker colors will just cover over it and I won't have to fix any of the issues. Or any of the mistakes that I make. It just makes painting a little bit faster, a little bit less tedious, which is ideal. So next, we're going to do this kind of rope binding. And this stuff, you can actually just use a shade here. This is Agrax Earth Shade. Because of the pre-work I did, making it this light tan color, the shade will tint it enough that it kind of acts like a contrast paint. So we just apply this over here, and what we'll end up with is kind of a light brown. And you'll see me using lots of different browns. There are a lot of things on this model that are brown, and so to keep it interesting, we're going to try and make all the browns distinctly different colors. And so having one be just a shade over the base coat helps make it a very distinct and separate brown. So next I'm going to use this Cygor brown. This is going to be the base coat for all the leather, but I will go over with this layer paint, very, very transparent layer of this layer paint, to make some of the leather a more reddish brown as opposed to this dark brown. And you have to be very careful with some of the brown contrast paints because they are, as you can see on my palette, very dark and very strong. So this is like 2-to-1 ratio of contrast medium to the Cygor brown. And you can see it is still very dark at the 2-to-1 ratio. And again, we'll be using a finer brush just to make sure that we don't make any mistakes. We have a lot of control over where the paint is going. And you can see some of this stuff I don't care. Like a lot of the armor, I will be painting with a base coat of metallic paint, and so that you don't really have to worry about. It'll cover up any mistakes. Again, part of the reason that we're doing the colors in the order that I am is to make it so that any mistakes you make, you don't have to fix. They'll just get fixed in the next step. Contrast paint is also really satisfying to put on because it's very thin consistency. Your brush just kind of glides along the model, and the paint flows into all the recesses. Like I said, there's a lot of brown on this mini, so I'm actually going to apply a glaze of this Doombull brown over some of the leather bits in order to give it a more red color. Now, when you're doing this, you want a little bit of layer paint, and then you want to dilute it down a lot. So if you see my wet palette here, you can see the kind of consistency that I'm looking for. The whole point of this is just to tint the color of a part of the model, not cover it. And when I apply it here, you can see it's very transparent. This model is covered in a bunch of leather straps stitched together. So you just kind of pick like every other piece of leather, and we're just gonna tint it like a reddish brown instead of this, I don't know, brown. and that'll add some interest to the leather parts of the model. Fun bonus is that red is across the color wheel from green. So colors that contrast each other tend to pop out a bit more, and that's what we like to see. We like contrast. It's kind of the name of the game. Not to be confused with the contrast paints, of course. So you should be able to see the effect start to come in, and as we highlight the leather, I'll choose different browns as my highlight colors so that they're differentiated even further. All right, now that we've got the base layers for the leather done and we've tinted some of the sections of it, I'm gonna start working on the base coats for the metal. And so we're just going to be using this lead belcher color. Nothing too fancy about it. And the reason I'm hopping around colors and I'm getting all the base coats down is that if I make a mistake, it's easier to fix that mistake now when I've just done base coats, as opposed to if I do all the highlighting and stuff and I make a mistake, I'll have to do all of those steps over again. So you kind of get all the base colors down, make sure that you do any touch-ups and fix any mistakes that you've made, and then you move on to highlighting. So we're going to come in with this Flesh Terror's red here, and we're going to apply it to his shoulder instead of using the metallic paint that we've been using. You can see it's a pretty vibrant red, which is fun. I'm going to use this brass color for like the tips of his crown, I guess. Kind of looks like a crown. So we're going to start the process of shading, and the first step is to use Bealtan Green to shade the skin. And so this is going to just add a bit more green to the skin and darken some of the recesses. I'm going to be using Nuln Oil here for the leather, and for the silver metallics. The brass metallics get a different color. On a similar note, for a lot of metallics other than silver, I use like a Reichland Flesh Shade, which is like a warmer light brown. This really helps differentiate it from the silver, whereas if you use Nuln Oil, it starts to look the same. And we picked a different color on purpose, so we want it to be distinct, and this kind of just helps differentiate it. I use this Flesh Shade for like gold as well. After touching up the tassels, I'm going to come in with a diluted Talazar blue to create a nice accent color. So I start off with, I'm now using like layer paints. So this scarlet color and then like an orangish red. Start with the scarlet color, and you just want to kind of avoiding the recesses because we want to keep those a very dark red. We're just going to pick out some of the details here. So yeah, I am going to paint his teeth, so I'm going to start off with this like Morghast bone color, and then we're going to shade it and highlight it just a little bit because I think the teeth are cool, so we'll spend some time on them. But we need to be pretty careful to make sure we don't, especially now that we've gone and highlighted the red. Ugh. Don't want to have to redo all that. Next, I'm going to highlight the different leathers using Scrag Brown and Mournfang Brown. I'm running out of ways to describe brown. I promise it's different. And mostly we're going to be focusing on the edges. This is called edge highlighting. For the redder leather, is we're going to use this this light ochre color, and we are just going to be doing it's going to be a very reserved highlight. These are called like point highlights, and their goal is to be very bright. So you're just painting like the very tips of the leather, and this helps draw your eyes to specific details. So this is what the completed model looks like. Obviously there's some more stuff I could do, but this is 2 hours of work. Thanks for joining. I hope you learned something. You enjoyed it. I'll do this stream every week, so come join me next week. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something. If you want to see more tutorials like this, you can subscribe to my channel here. You can also find me on Instagram, TikTok, and live on YouTube or Twitch. If you have something specific you want to learn, comment below, and I will do my best to show you how to push your models beyond tabletop ready.